Hello, my name is Austin Habish, the founder of Think Catholic, and you're listening to the Summa Theologica podcast, where we study St. Thomas Aquinas' Summa Theologiae in a way simple and insightful for anyone to understand. The Summa Theologica podcast is brought to you by Think Catholic. Taking 2 questions of the Summa a day, we'll seek to summarize St. Thomas's responses, discovering the brilliance of Aquinas and his Catholic faith. This is day 120. So let's get started. We're covering today questions 6 and 7 of the Secunda Secundae, that is, of the cause of faith and of the effects of faith. The translation that I always use in these podcasts is the one generously provided to me by Ave Maria Press, the 5-volume set translated by the Fathers of the English Dominican province, which you can now get at a discounted price from Ave Maria Press's site by typing in the code SUMMA10. And so here we go. Article 1. Whether faith is infused into man by God. The act of saving faith requires that man be proposed that of which he is to believe explicitly, which has at all times been those 2 components of Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6, where it is written, "And without faith it is impossible to please him, for whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists, and that he rewards those who seek him." And it goes without saying, as we have said in previous episodes, that the requisite detail within those categories has progressed over the course of human history. Then along with what a man is to believe, he must then assent to that which was proposed to him, for him to make an act of faith. It is these 2 components of the act of faith which is being considered in this article. When it comes to the first, since faith comes through what is heard, that's Romans chapter 10, verse 17, besides the prophets or whoever else was enlightened by God directly, for the rest of us, we require a preacher or apostle, and ultimately now the church founded and sustained by Christ as a guarantee for us to receive God's revelation. Then when it comes to our assent to it, we do really require the grace of God being infused into us, moving us to make that assent of faith, for us to be able to do so. And Aquinas proves that in the following words. He writes, "Man's assent to the things which are of faith, we may observe a 2-fold cause, one of external inducement, such as seeing a miracle or being persuaded by someone to embrace the faith, neither of which is a sufficient cause, since of those who see the same miracle or hear the same sermon, some believe and some do not. Hence, we must assert another internal cause which moves man inwardly to assent to matters of faith. Since man, by assenting to matters of faith, is raised above his nature, this must needs accrue to him from some supernatural principle moving him inwardly, and this is God. Therefore, faith, as regards the assent, which is the chief act of faith, is from God moving man inwardly by grace." So the assent of saving faith, of theological faith, is a supernatural act, and therefore we require supernatural assistance to bring us to that act, and this is infused into us by God to those of whom he gives this gift. Article 2, whether lifeless faith is a gift of God. Lifeless faith, as we mentioned in the last episode, is faith not informed by charity. So it is the habit of faith in someone who has lost the habit or the habitual supernatural love of God, which is charity, by turning away from God through mortal sin. In this person, he still possesses faith, and just as it was a gift at its inception, it remains a gift throughout the time of its possession. So in Aquinas' words, the cause of lifeless faith is that which is the cause of faith, strictly so called, and this is God, as stated already. It follows, therefore, that lifeless faith is a gift of God. And we move on to question 7, which is of the effects of faith. Article 1. Whether fear is an effect of faith. And we normally distinguish between 2 kinds of fear, filial and servile fear. Servile fear is the fear of punishment. The slave is afraid of his master because of what that master might do to him if he transgresses the master's command. Filial fear is, on the other hand, the fear of losing that which we love, which in this case is God. A son who loves his father does not want to lose, or he fears losing his father. In St. Thomas's words, Filial fear, whereby one dreads to be separated from God, or whereby one shrinks from equaling oneself to him and holds him in reverence, inasmuch as faith makes us appreciate God as an unfathomable and supreme good, separation from which is the greatest evil, and to which it is wicked to wish to be equaled. Of the first fear, which was servile fear, lifeless faith is the cause, while living faith is the cause of filial fear, because it makes man adhere to God and to be subject to him by charity. Article 2, in our last article, whether faith has the effect of purifying the heart. And St. Thomas gives us a very beautiful reflection here to take to prayer. And so I will simply quote him, which will bring us to the end of this very, very brief episode. He writes, "A thing is impure through being mixed with baser things, for silver is not called impure when mixed with gold, which betters it, but when mixed with lead or tin. Now it is evident that the rational creature is more excellent than all transient and corporeal creatures, so that it becomes impure through subjecting itself to transient things by loving them. From this impurity, the rational creature is purified by means of a contrary movement, namely by tending to that which is above it, which is God. The first beginning of this movement is faith, since he that cometh to God must believe that he exists, according to Hebrews 11:6. Hence the first beginning of the heart's purifying is faith, and if this be perfected through being quickened by charity, the heart will be perfectly purified thereby." Which brings us to the close of another episode. We have just finished covering questions 6 and 7 of the Secunda Secundae, that is, of the cause of faith and of the effects of faith. My name is Austin Habish with Think Catholic, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow.